Welcome back. In this video, we are going to start setting up our scaffold, but we're going to look at the top app bar that we want to design first. So let's go ahead and design an app bar that will allow us to go back if we are on a certain page. So we don't have the different pages yet or the different views yet, but let's just start with one thing first, and that will be our new home view. So the home view is going to be the one that holds our scaffold, which allows us to have a certain structure for our application. So you can see that this is the structure that I want to have. I want to have a top app bar here, then I want to have the content, and then I want to have this floating action button. So you can achieve that by using a scaffold composable. All right, so what I'm going to do inside of this home view is I'm going to first of all make sure that this home view actually does have or is a composable. Then I'm going to use home view as the name for it. Okay, so I created this new home view file, which will then contain a scaffold. All right, so there's this scaffold composable, which allows me to have a bunch of properties. So I use the one that allows me to have a scaffold state here, or requires a remember scaffold state. So we have a modifier scaffold state. Then you can see we can define a top app bar or top bar composable, a bottom bar composable, snack bar host composable. Then the content that you want to have here as a composable, which will require padding values, or we will be given padding values inside of our scaffold and then can display our scaffold. So the interesting thing will also be our floating action button. So we will need to design the composables for all of these different components that we want to use. So the ones that we're going to use are going to be, for now, the top bar, the floating action button, the scaffold state, as well as the background color. So we're going to set those up step by step, but for now, let's start with first things first, and that will be our app bar. So this scaffold now, like so, has a bunch of properties that we need to pass, or like parameters that we need to pass to it. So here we can go ahead and, for example, set the top bar. Now this top bar is a composable, right? So we can pass an entire composable as the top bar. So I'm going to create a new UI composable file. So basically a new file, which I'm going to call top bar. Or let me see, app bar. I just called it app bar, like so. Now this app bar will have my app bar view. So this will also be a composable, which I'm going to call fun app bar view. Now this app bar view is basically going to contain a top app bar, but I also want to have a button in it that I can modify later on. So how does that work? Well, the thing is, I want to know what title this app bar view should display. So I'm going to pass that, and I will add an event here, which I'm going to call on back nav clicked, which will require no parameters and will return nothing. So basically we can just execute code. And for now I'm gonna say as a default this will be empty. So the on back nav clicked button will do nothing by default. Now inside of here I want to have a top app bar. So this top app bar is a composable that is made available to me by Jetpack Compose. So there are a few different overrides that we can use. I'm just going to use the one with a title, and then it will be fine with whatever parameter, or it will select the right composable depending on which parameters I want to use. Now the top app bar needs a title. So I'm going to say that the title should be a text. So a text composable. Let me actually import text here. And it will be this composable with material 3. And then the content of this text will be, the text property will be title. So whatever we pass to this composable app bar view will be the title. But then there are a few other things that I can define. So for example, I'm going to define the color to be color resource. and it has the ID of r.color.white. So there's this color white, which is inside of our colors XML. So this is the FFFFF. So you can see that there is this color KT file, which holds a bunch of colors. But then there's also this resources folder, which contains our values, which contains colors as well. So we can access this color by saying r.values. R gives us the resources folder. Then values gives us the values folder. And inside of that, we have this colors folder or file, this colors XML file, in which we have a color called white. Now that's the color that I am accessing here by saying r.color white. So this R color directly gets into the value. So we don't need to specifically say values here either. So we can just say r color white. So that's our top app bar, but I also want to modify it and it needs some additional details. Okay, so I'm gonna add we have the color now. I'm gonna add a modifier here, which will be modifier with a padding of 4 density pixels at the left hand side. So at the start is left. So I need to import DP here and a height in. So this height in constrains the height of the content to be between min DP and max DP. So I'm just going to say I don't want this to ever be bigger than 24 density pixels. So that's what this max DP does for me. So the top bar needs also additional details. So that's the title, which is just this text, which has all of these properties. So the text has a color resource, it has a modifier, which contains the padding and the height in. Okay, so that is just that piece. Now we have additional items that the top app bar requires, and some are necessary, others have a default value. So this top app bar needs an elevation, which I'm going to set to 3 density pixels, and a background color. And here, let me make sure that this is the right one. So we have the title, then we have the elevation, then the background color, which will be color resource, and I'm going to use r.color.appBarColor. So what is this app bar color? Well, it's a color that I will design myself, or I will add to my color values myself. So here on the values, I'm going to create another color, which I'm going to call name equal, and here app bar color. So I can reuse this color anytime I need it. So here we need to add the color hexadecimal value. So here it's the DD1E5F is the color that I'm using for this, which will be this pink color. All right, so you can play around with these values and you will find different colors. You can use a color picker to select a certain color. And I will show you how that works in the next video. Okay, but let's finish the app bar for now. So now we have this app bar color, and the app bar also needs a navigation icon. So we need to know what the navigation icon should look like. Navigation icon, which I need to design as well. Now, for us to be able to use the top app bar, we need to add experimental material 3 API, this piece here, and then we should be able to use the elevation and all the good stuff. So for my app bar, top app bar to work, I will use. So here for my top app bar to work, I need to make sure that I am importing the right top app bar. So let me get rid of this import and import the function top app bar. And I'm going to use the one that uses Android 1.6 alpha, so that one here, and then the error should disappear. So if you get the wrong import here, then try it again with the other. And then I need to have this navigation icon, and here you can see what navigation icon requires. So you see like any given code nullable. So we don't need to assign a navigation icon, but I want to add a navigation icon, and actually we can do that later. Okay, for now, let's just use our app bar view inside of our home view here. And if you recall, our app bar view needed a title. So I'm just going to give it a title, which will be wish list. So now we still get an error here. That's because the top app bar actually needs the composable. So we need to surround it with brackets here, with curly brackets, like so. And put this inside of those curly brackets, this top app bar, like so. Now we can use our app bar view. Now our scaffold is complaining because we need to somewhere use these padding values. So what we can do for now, we can just add a lazy column. Now this lazy column is going to have a modifier, which I'm going to set to modifier.fill max size dot padding, and here I'm going to use it. Now this lazy column needs to have a content, and we need to import lazy column. All right, so that pretty much will do nothing. For now, it's going to be empty, but it will display our top app bar view. And let me now use my app view inside of our main activity to display this home view and run our app, because this will at least allow us to test what we are building step by step. So we're building this app bar view, and we're gonna go step by step from here. And there we are. So for now, the only thing that we've built is this little text here at the top, or this top app bar with that particular color that we've set. So this allows us to later modify it, because we can later on go ahead and modify our app bar to whatever we want. So for example, we want to be able to have this back button as a navigation item. And once we click on it, we want to go back. We want to basically pop the stack, getting rid of our latest view and displaying the view underneath it in the stack. So that's just the setup. Obviously there's a lot to do still, but I wanted to show you how you can add a top app bar using the scaffold, and we already have a content of it as well. So this here is the content of our scaffold. Obviously there's not much going on, but we're going to add features step by step. So see you in the next video.